Back here on MLB Now, and there's the Astros putting this out. We got our guy. We've hired Joe Espada, our 20th manager in franchise history. Dusty Baker retiring. Joe Espada, bench coach for Houston since 2018, moves on up. And Joe Espada, new Astros manager, joins us now. Joe, it's Brian Kenny here at MLB Now. Congratulations to you.
Thank you, Brian. Thank you for having me.
Great to have you here. What is it like? Again, you've been around a while. You've been bench coach various clubs. What is it like to you to think of you now have the top job?
Man, it's been an incredible 48 hours. The journey, thinking about the journey, how it got here, the opportunity to manage such a great team in front of the best fans in the world, an incredible team, a team that knows how to win. They know what it takes to win. This is a dream come true.
In this age of baseball ops, Joe, where your club's at the forefront, give us an idea of what the bench coach does in this age.
Oh man, we got a ton of work. I know when with AJ, my responsibilities were a little bit different. With Dusty, his responsibility, he wanted me to do some different things. So the manager uses his bench coach in different ways. But nowadays, prepping the players to ready to play, information coming in from the front office, how you deploy the information to the players, to the coaches, and how the coaches provide that information to the players. We don't want to bombard them with a ton of information. We want to keep the process very smooth and have a balanced approach on how we do things, right? There's information, there's data, but there's also the human side of things. So balancing that out is something that is it's a big job for the bench coach in today's game.
Yeah, look, I know it's about, now I saw the news conference, and I know every manager has to say it. I know it's about people, it's about culture, but how much did you learn about data-driven decision-making in Houston?
You know what, Brian? What I keep learning about it is that you can't ignore the human side of things. You can't, No
one's, but if you're not ignoring it, I'm just saying, how about, again, you're coming from a lifetime of baseball and suddenly here's this modern baseball ops department, especially in Houston. So that part of it, what did that teach you? Or you're like, nah, I know all this stuff, or did it open your mind?
No, it opens my mind. Absolutely, 100%. 100%. There's information that comes in and how our model changes every day, right? We use new data. We have new programs, and we make sure that we stay in the forefront on those areas. So, we are a very progressive organization, and we do a really good job having people that keep us informed. We have great coaches that know how to digest and give the information to the players.
It's funny. Again, even what you're saying, everything is from you to the players. How does it work from the other way? Do you know all the people in baseball ops, or is there someone that brings it to you? Or how seamless or not seamless is that from baseball ops down to the players?
You know what? I've been here now 6 years. This is going to be my 7th season. I have met every individual upstairs. There's a line of communication is excellent. The collaboration between front office and coaching staff is great. I'm very fortunate to we have kept some of those guys in the organization for many years. Some of them move on to other jobs, but the transition is being smooth, and the guys that we have in place are solid. Analysts.
I would imagine. Look, you guys are state of the art. And I think the most fascinating thing, Joe, it's like a simple thing, but third time through the order, right, is where the blame is going to be on the pitcher or it's going to be on you. What's your general thought on that or philosophy on that? A pitcher who's cruising, but you see the start of the diminishing skills. How long do I go? What are my emotions? What are my facts? How do you do that?
Well, you know what? You mentioned if the guy is cruising, his stuff is still good, crisp. He's still executing pitches. The opponent batters don't look comfortable. I look at the stuff. But also you can't ignore the numbers. When he tells you this guy third time through the order, there's fatigue that comes in. The shape of his pitches are not the same. Those are things that I also look closely. That's why every time the pitcher comes in the dugout, right, and he sits around and you connect, you have that conversation with him. You ask your catcher how the shape of his pitches. That conversation, that back and forth, you can't ignore that. That's the human side of the game that you can't just completely walk away from.
Right. What's fascinating, though, is what you say, the shape of the pitches. Oh, okay. Right. The layperson is not thinking of exactly that. Now you're in the weeds. All right. I'll bring something else up. When Dusty Baker got tossed in Game 5 of that ALCS, you went into pinch hit mode, right? Diaz, Singleton, that set up Altuve with the 3-run shot. Give me your philosophy on that. That was a big moment.
You know what? I think Brian. I think the big moment in that game was actually the 8th inning. They had first and second with nobody out, and I know with our resilient offense that we just needed to put a 0 on the board, and we had a really good shot of winning that game. I really felt comfortable saying, if we put a 0 here, let's bring our closer in, put a 0 on the scoreboard. We got a chance to win the game in the 9th, and that's exactly what happened. Presley came in, shut the door, and then the 9th inning came around. We have talked about who's a good matchup against Leclerc. Leclerc has been really tough against righties. He's got his cutter, he's got his slider. So, I was ready to make those suggestions to Dusty before the inning started. Now he gets ejected. Now I'm the one who's got to make the call. So for me was, you know what, this guy is going to try to pound Diaz with a sinker. Also, another thing about Diaz, and comes about, it's what we talk about, the behavior of the hitter. Diaz, it's, leading off an inning, you get a different type of approach. Now he's just trying to get on base. Now if he represents the tying run, now he's going to try to go deep. That's kind of the mentality of a young player who has power, but he's also a polished hitter. So I try to make sure that, I want to send Diaz out there early. He's going to give me a good approach and good at bat. Now Singleton, if Diaz reaches, now he's got the left side of the field open. Now he could work, could work a walk. And the goal was, for me, I really want to get people on base for Jose Altuve. I've seen it way many times. When Jose Altuve comes to the plate with people on base, something special is about to happen. So it was building towards that. Diaz gets the hit. Singleton grinds out a walk. And I get goosebumps thinking about it. I'm like, here comes Altuve. Here comes Altuve. And how he stays calm, poised, big swing, and we won the game. It was a special game, big win, and I wish we would have won one more after that.
There's so much real-world computing. Like, again, I even say, people say, oh, you got to go with your gut. You're using your inner computer. There's so much information in there as to, it's so much deeper now than I think we used to think. Anyway, I want to bring up something else from that point. At that point in time, I remember Dusty Baker gets tossed out. It didn't seem like Dusty was going to leave, right? And I remember you actually, in the dugout. Did you say anything to Dusty? Because you were standing there like, Dusty, how big is your fine going to be? You got to go, guy. What were you saying?
Listen, Brian, that I wanted no part of that. I respect Dusty like a father. I did not want to make him more upset, but I did not want him to get suspended for the next game.
Right.
I'm like, Skip, I want you to be in the dugout for the next game, so you might want to leave. And he looked at me and he's like, all right, kid, that makes sense. So he decided to leave the dugout. But honestly, I wanted to give him the space. He's earned the right. That's his dugout, and I wanted to just stay away from the moment, but he did comply and he did, leave the dugout.
By the way, your body language said all that. You're non-confrontational. You're off to the side, but you're standing there going, you got to go, Dusty.
No, this is a Hall of Fame manager, man. This is a Hall of Fame manager.
You even
this
asked,
guy has earned that moment.
Yeah, you even said to say you might want to leave, right? You might. They're one way or the other. They're carting you out of here. Let me ask, Joe, one last thing. You coached under Dusty, A.J. Hinch, Joe Girardi, Ozzie Guillen. Going back, had a lot of success. Tell me something about the blend of who you're most like.
You know what? Number one, they're all winners. Every one of those guys won a World Series as a manager. So being around winning successful managers, you see things they do. Those are things that you write down. So those are some things that you want to do when you become a manager. I think the key here is I got to be myself. I see things from Joe perspective and the Ozzie Guillen style. AJ Hinch, he's 2 years here. Dusty's, 4 year, how he goes about his business. I think it's just, a little blend of everything, right? I'm not going to ignore those experiences. I think when things work and when you connect with the players and you get players to buy in what you want to do, I think those are really the things that I've learned from some of those managers that I work for. And Jack McKeown. Let's not forget about Jack McKeown. I did spend some time with him in Miami.
Right. Yeah, no, even going back further, right. Another master at the craft. Joe, congratulations. Great having a conversation with you again. We wish you a great off season, getting prepped for this coming year, and congratulations again.